Hi, I am Michael Bean. I'm an acting teacher, and this is your lesson for myfreeactingclass.com for, what was today? Wednesday, October the 21st, 2020. Today, I want to do a deep dive on something called personalization. Uh, those of you who've seen me go over my chart of, or my 10 questions to understand story, which is sort of the simplest and most efficient way that I found to approach stories. We'll remember personalization from somewhere on there. And my hope is that as we get into understanding it, that you will throw your own thoughts into the chat window, or because it's a small group today, you can even unmute yourselves and shout them out when we get to that point. So let's start by reading the script. Gia, do you want to read the girl in this? Yes, you do? Great. Then just unmute yourselves and we'll go from there. And Carla, you said you're at work, so normally I would ask you if you wanted to read, but probably if you want to keep this on the down low, then that's not a great fit for you. And so I'll read the adult character for you if you want. So let's start by looking at this short script from Heroes Reborn. So I'll read all the stage direction. You are Jess, Gia, and I'll be read Mira. Exterior shooting range, day. Mira and her pupil, Jess, stand at a shooting range. Jess aims at a gun at a target. She's sassy and too confident for her own good. So this is you. You're sassy and too confident for your own good, but not a petulant brat. If you were a young actor auditioning for this and you didn't know what the word petulant meant, it would be important to look it up. She's wiser than her years. Myra is her stern instructor, a soldier with no patience and no sense of humor. Jess fires and is quite pleased with her shot. Gia, this is you.
Oh. I don't know why we're even wasting time with targets anymore.
Tell me, does the target fire back? Jess shoots her a cheeky look as if to say, are you kidding me with this expletive omitted? Does a target sneak up behind you in your sleep and press a knife to your throat when you least expect it?
You didn't have a lot of friends growing up, did you?
Could you be a little sassier? Give it to me again, but sassy.
You didn't have a lot of friends growing up, did you?
Does a target cry? Does it bleed? Does it beg for mercy in its dying gasp?
No.
Then you have your answer, child. Now back to your station. Jess resumes her position, fires again and again. Slower, even breaths. Again. Focus, child. This is no game. The fate of the entire world is at stake.
Will you get off my back?
Now, I want to, we're going to pick up the scene in a moment, but here, this double dash means that the other character cuts me off. And if you are preparing a scene like this for a self-tape or even for an audition where you're reading with a reader, you need to be prepared for exactly what happened there, which is that Gia's reading this, she's not going to cut me off in time. And so if I'm preparing the character of Mira, I need to prepare the end of this sentence. And you want to keep it to 1 or 2 or like 3 words maximum. So if I'm doing this, I'm going to say the fate of the entire world is at stake. And I'm going to know that regardless of what the writing is and what we will rehearse if we do it on set, that in the audition, even if Gia's really trying hard, she's still not going to manage to cut me off in time. Yeah, and so, but then I sound good. So if the video's on me, I'm taking care of looking and sounding good, and I'm not putting that on my reader because you just cannot count on your reader making you look and sound good in that respect. So if you, so the other option with something like this, usually this is if there's an ellipsis and dot, dot, dot is to trail off. Right now, totally wrong for a soldier who's giving directions. But with this line, trail off would sound like the fate of the entire world is it, and I just can't think of the next word, or I run out of words, or something stops me from speaking. So it's a trail off, which again would make me sound good if I knew the other actor wasn't going to cut me off in time. In this case, I've got to write the end of the line. And the reason that I'm saying just a few words is that if you say, the fate of the entire world is at the mercy of evil forces that are trying to overwhelm it, and oh my God, please cut me off because I'm just talking and talking. And by then, you've deviated from the story, you've tried to write dialogue for Mira that is probably very different from what the writer has in mind. You want to keep it to 1 or 2 or 3 words so that nobody even notices. They're just like, wow, why did that actor seem more clear and confident than the other actors who just went, the fate of the entire world is at, this is where you cut me off. So if we keep going from there, so this time Gia, and I'll just show you, even though Gia knows in advance, and I'll even tell you, Gia, so basically when I get to the word world, you're gonna have to start your line. And if you do that, if you start your line when I say the word world, then maybe you will manage to cut me off exactly in time. So you're gonna try it, but you still will probably miss it. But we're gonna try, okay? So slower, even breaths. Again, focus, child, this is no game. The fate of the entire world.
Will you get off my back?
Watch yourself.
Every day, every second, all you do is push me, berate me, treat me like I'm some incompetent amateur.
I do no such thing, child.
I'm not a child. I'm good at this, Mira. I've been working toward it my entire life, and I swear when the time comes, I'm gonna be ready. I'm gonna show people things that they've never seen or imagined. I'm gonna save the world. But right now, my hands are tired, and all I wanna do.
See? And if you count on me to cut you off in time, then you're the one who sounds bad, even though it's my fault. Do you see what I mean, Gia? And so now you're going to say just this last line. So you're going to start with, but right now my hands are tired. And you're going to say is rest. Do you understand? Right, so you're going to add the words is rest. You're going to write the rest of that line, but just those 2 words. So you're going to say, but right now my hands are tired and all I want to do is rest. Okay, whenever you're ready, go for it.
But right now, my hands are tired, and all I want to do is rest.
Tired? You think a couple of sore fingers makes you tired? This is nothing, child. This is a holiday compared to the pain and anguish you will feel in the days to come. Tired? Mira spits on the floor, disgusted. You do not yet know the true meaning of the word. So there's a bunch of cutoffs in this scene, and so something else to look at is here. Gia made an excellent choice, which is she just ended the sentence. Treat me like I'm some incompetent amateur. Boom, it's the end of the sentence. It works. The same thing here. There's no such child. Ended the sentence. And when they're running it on set, of course they can figure out what the next words are, and they can cut each other off just fine. The 2 actors can rehearse it before they even go into the on-set rehearsal, or the walkthrough when they're actually on set. But for the audition, this is how you adjust it. So thanks for being willing to play with me, Gia. That's helpful. And so if you are doing a scene where we're looking at the character of Jess. Hi, Claudine. Hi, Candy. So if we're looking at the character of Jess, and you are a young girl who's training at a gun range to save the world, this is going to be really hard to personalize. You're not going to be able to have a direct substitution where you're like, oh yeah, I remember the time that my military instructor was training me to shoot things and save the world. You're just not going to be able to have that experience. And so this is where personalizing becomes really important. Or this is where it becomes useful, I suppose. Because if we look at these story questions, and we could go through all of this, but it would take more time. And like I said, today I want to do a deep dive just on personalization. So my 10 questions, which I've just sort of honed through practice into what I think is the simplest and most effective, but hopefully you'll try them on and you'll write your own list of 6 or 10 or 12 questions for yourself, something that you can go through that as quickly, as simply, as efficiently as possible helps drop you into the life of the character. So style, the writer's story, the style is a drama, action drama maybe. The writer's story, Jess's training, my story to save the world. My story is my instructor doesn't believe in me, and my story is like something that you choose for yourself. And I recommend choosing it early so that that can influence all the rest of them, the choices that you make. The arc, meaning the change from the beginning to the end in the scene, it starts as, like sassy, confident, like I've got this, I'm the boss. And it ends with like a deeply humbled character, who is aware of how much she still needs to learn, how far she has to go. Descriptive words for me, just a couple of single word adjectives. Descriptive words for the other, a couple of single word adjectives. Script relationship, mentor and mentee, or sergeant and soldier, or something in the nature of, this is my boss, this is the leader, this is the person who's teaching me, and I'm the student. And the personalization is what I want to focus on today. What is it in your personal life that helps you empathize with the feelings behind the experience? So if we had to put words to what Jess is feeling in this scene, right? And once we get into feeling words, we're feeling sensation, it's going to be a little different for each person. How is Jess feeling in this scene? What would you say are the dominant feelings in the scene? And throw it in the chat window, or feel free to just unmute yourself and make some suggestions. Being willing to guess and be wrong is one of the best ways that you can learn in an environment like this. Because if you guess, and I'm like, well, actually, I think that doesn't work because of X, Y, Z. Yes, you might feel a little bit of embarrassment for a moment, but also you will really remember the answer. So that even in learning, that willingness to be slightly uncomfortable is very connected to getting better. It's very connected to gaining skill. And so I'd just encourage you to do so. Right? You get off my back, watch yourself, grabs her chin, holds her face still, terrifying the girl. So we've got a feeling word here. She's terrified. She's tired. This sentence, paragraph, or rather, I think is key. All you do is push me, berate me, treat me like I'm some incompetent amateur. Oh, incidentally, Gia, did you notice that you made this line better? Like, this is actually grammatically inaccurate. Berate at me, that's not the way you use this word. And when Gia read it, she just said, berate me, which I think is probably right. I think probably this is a little leftover typo word from some previous version of the scene. That's my guess. So if I was doing Jess, I would also make that adjustment. Anyway, it's what would we call that feeling when the person who is your immediate superior, or who's trying to teach you to do something, you feel like all they do is push you, berate you, and treat you like an incompetent amateur. What would we call that feeling? Annoyed, right? So we've got annoyed, terrified, tired. What else? One of the reasons that I would recommend, so you start with annoyed, Mara, but annoyed probably isn't going to be charged enough, to make this scene alive. So what's on the same spectrum as annoyed, but more? Right. So if annoyed is like this, what's that in that same kind of feeling, but like this big? You know what I'm asking, Mara? That if you're like, well, yeah, I'm annoyed. Oh, actually, it's probably not annoyed. It's probably because it's drama, because the feelings are big, because they want to tell an interesting story. Like maybe annoyed is my first guess, but I want to go, okay, what's more? Okay, is it irritated, angry? Right, she's angry, or furious, or enraged, or livid, or you'd want to pick the one that meant something to you, right? Like when the word that for you means very angry. And that would give you some interesting arc to the scene. So with each one of those things, you might not be super angry when a teacher is being mean to you. Like your actual experience, might be that when a teacher is being mean to you, you feel sad or you feel scared. But in that moment in the scene, yeah, she's very angry. Right, she's standing up to her teacher. If she feels like, no, you're not allowed to, and I'm going to stand up for myself here. And so you might have to go, remember, personalization is what do we do to empathize with the feeling behind the experience? What is in your personal life that lets you empathize with the feeling behind the experience? And so you might need to look at your personal life and think about, okay, where are those things? What do I get super angry about? Or what would I get super angry about? Or what can I imagine getting super angry about? What does anger feel like in my body? How do I remember what that feeling is like? So I'm like, oh yeah, it's that feeling. And I wanted to give you a concrete example. It's very different, from anger, but this was one of my students, the students in my Monday class, and I asked her if I could use this example of her scene from class. I'm going to show you some clips from her scene. Now she's like a very like fierce, independent young woman, and she was doing a scene, which was, I believe, from a Hallmark movie, where the character the character's values are very different than her own values. And so watch the first take and see if you can see the moment where we don't believe her at all because she's kind of like, ugh, like who is this person who believes these things and wants these things?
It's kind of a pro bono job. Pro bono means doing good.
We're not there
You're going
yet.
to be doing good all
I
your
just
life?
wanted to give you a little bit of
I
setup.
know what you're saying. Doesn't pay very well. Depends on the woman I marry.
So then
maybe she's like a bigger house, a better car, lots of kids. College doesn't come cheap. You would give up what you wanted for the woman you'd marry? Yeah, I would. If I married you, I don't want to give you what you wanted. I know it's old-fashioned and all that, but what's wrong with taking care of a woman? She takes care of you. I'll have good luck finding a woman like that these days. You never know. Lightning could strike. I've got to go. Did I say something wrong? No, it was so right it scares me. I've been thinking.
Good. Now, did you see the little bit of sneer in there? And did you hear it in her voice? So what's in the writing is this guy says, oh yeah, I'd get a different job so I could make more money, so I could take care of the woman in my life. And the actor in this case, Brooke, is like, hell no. Even though her character has to say, wow, that's magical and great and just what I want to hear. And so she's sort of trapped. And so in class, we worked on personalization. I happened to record the notes. I don't know if they're useful for you, but I like mixing it up in this class, and I've never done this exact thing. And so, here's me talking to her about it. And so this is where this woman's values and yours differ, right? And so this is where I think personalizing it is useful. Like what he's saying is, I think it's important to, like for the man to take care of things, and he's sort of laying out this very traditional value set, and so just personalize it so you know what you're hearing, right? So this character Susan feels about those things the way Brooke feels about what? It's right, like you're talking to a guy for the first time, and he's like, yeah, these are my core values. It's this and this and this and this. And you're like, damn. Those are the things that are the most important to me. Okay. And so, we workshopped it. We tried it a couple of times. And incidentally, it's a good vulnerability practice for me, playing back a video of myself teaching. But the amount of times that I stammer and say and when I'm teaching drives me insane. But I'm always making it up on the fly. I'm trying to respond in real time to students, and so just have to accept it. And so here's Brooke after she's had a chance to internalize that stuff and workshop it.
Me too. It's kind of a pro bono job. Pro bono. That means doing good? Going to be doing good all your life? You know what you're saying. Doesn't pay very well. Depends on the woman I marry. Maybe she'd like a bigger house, a better car, lots of kids.
And so right from this point where she's listening to it, it's more alive for her. And these things we saw from the first take are not things that Brooke values, but the character values them very highly. And so it's important for her to do that, to tell this story in the script.
College doesn't come cheap. So you'd give up what you want for the woman you'd marry? I would. If I married you, I'd want to give you what you wanted. I know it's old-fashioned and all that, but what's wrong with taking care of a woman? She takes care of you. You're going to have trouble finding a woman like that these days. Well, you never know. Lightning could strike. I've got to go. Did I say something wrong? No. It was so right, it scares me.
So there might still be a little bit of struggle there, but it's much more alive. It's much more sort of full of feeling. And so, Mara, do you want to be my example for this next piece? Yeah? Great. So let's see if I spotlight your video and then I share the screen. Right, so let's just do this one line. And so just say it every day, every second.
Every day, every second, all you do is push me, berate me, treat me like I'm some incompetent amateur.
Right, yeah, excellent. So it's already like fairly alive for you. And this is where, if we can find a personalization that's even more alive, maybe we can find something that's really exciting. So I'm going to ask you, about anger, and please keep personal details, personal, especially because I'm recording this session and you don't want to be like, here's the person I'm most angry at in the world, posted on YouTube probably. But do you know the thing, the thing that makes you personally very, very angry? Mara. Right, can you remember being very angry? Yes, you can. Okay, good. Can you show me with your hand, where do you feel that? Right, like where in your body do you feel, when you are really angry? If you remember back to a time when you were really angry, when whether it was recently or a long time ago, where do you feel? Do you feel it here? Do you feel it here? Do you feel it here? Just show me with your hand. There? Yeah, and can you, whatever the anger is, can you do the motion with your hand? Whatever that sensation is, if you kind of remember into it, what is it? Yeah, but show me on your body. Right, just, so is it here? Does it squeeze in? Is that where it is? Right, so just show me here on your chest. Yeah, it squeezes. And is it a fingery squeeze, or is it like a pressy, sort of fisty squeeze? Yeah, do it. So just do it there on your chest. Just do it there on your chest. I know. And this smile is evidence that you're doing something uncomfortable. That's your body going nothing bad's happening, we're okay. And so acting is so weird because you want to, make yourself uncomfortable on purpose for practice, which is insane because we never do that the entire rest of our lives. Basically, the entire rest of our lives, when we're uncomfortable, we want to make it go away, right? It's only actors that are I wonder if I could be more uncomfortable. Let me try. So this time I'm going to ask you to do the exercise, but instead of smiling, I want you to lean into that uncomfortable and just see if you can make it a little bit more, okay? And then use that to say the line. Does that make sense? And I'll take the focus off you, so now everybody's looking at the script. And so just do that squeezy thing, right? So you find it right here, put and get your hand up there, right? So you're just giving your body a reminder of what it feels like. I know. I'll even take the video off so that we can't see you if that'll make you more comfortable, right? So give your chest that squeeze. See if you can, instead of smiling, if you can lean into the discomfort, because the smile just makes the discomfort go away, and you actually want to make yourself more uncomfortable on purpose. And then you remember what you are talking about. So maybe Jess feels this way about her teacher, but what you feel this way about, and you feed yourself that image so you know what you're talking about, and then say this line for me again.
Do the actual motion?
And yes, and do the actual motion. You don't have to do it the whole time you're saying the line, but just first to get that in your body. And you might do that as a moment before. You wouldn't stop in the middle of the scene and go, excuse me, but you absolutely can do that if you had to start the scene with a strong feeling. And for the moment, I just want to help you personalize, and I want to show people a couple of different examples. So you can personalize in a physical way by going somatically, here's how it feels in my body. You can personalize in an imagistic way, going, here's what I have to imagine, or what I have to remember. You can personalize in a meaning way by saying, oh, right, here's what it means to me. I know I've been talking again, so can you go back into just the exercise? I know, and see if you can instead of smiling, put the discomfort into the words. Right? It's fine actually to hate me for making you do this exercise, because I'm doing something that sort of Mira is doing here. Mira's pushing you and I'm pushing you a little bit. I mean, you asked me to, but still, you can use that discomfort and make it my fault. So again, instead of smiling it away, put it out here where we can do something about it. And so start with that little hand squeeze, and I'm just taking your video off for a second so that nobody has to see it. And then know what you're talking about, and then say this line every day, whenever you're ready.
Every day, every second, all you do is push me, berate me, treat me like I'm some incompetent amateur.
Okay. So great. Thank you so much, Mara. That's exactly it. And is that what you would stick with when you do it for real? I don't know. Because like your voice got really high, and so for me that says that there's like some sort of fear or escalation there. If we wanted the character to come across stronger, we want to like try and drop it down into your body. And so we might have to, if we were workshopping this for a taped audition, we might have to play with personalizations, go, oh yeah, that one was really alive, but we need you to feel more powerful in this. So you're not like, yeah. Does that make sense? Right? Because you might have personalized it with something, with a situation where you were not powerful, and we might have to go be really creative in your life to go, okay, when's this a time when you're angry, but you are the one who's sort of got power there. A lot of people, some people, folks your age, have that with their siblings. They're like, oh yeah, it's with my little brother, little sister. Like that's where like I'm angry and I know that I'm the boss, and so I can really stand up for myself. And some people feel that way all the time. More power to them, But some folks have to be creative and go, okay, right. That's like me and my sibling, or me and my pet. Sometimes I've seen that be really effective with people where they're like, oh yeah, the only person who I'm that clearly angry with is my dog. When he pees on the carpet. Do you have animals at your house, Mara? You don't. It was actually an exercise that I heard Larry Moss do with a student the first time. And I think it's relevant because it was a bunch of Canadian actors. And so expressing forceful feeling is something that folks sometimes struggle with. And so he just had the actor in question say, bad dog, and then say the line.
Well, the person was pretty clean.
Somebody
Pretty clean.
themselves. There we go. And so the actor just said "bad dog" a couple of times, and he was like, "Then yeah, take that, say the line like that," and found that personalization. So you can be very creative with personalizations. You can. I've even seen actors use themselves as a personalization. They're like, actually, the only person I'm that angry with is myself. Right? Like nobody else pushes me like that, but I push me like that. So I know that in the scene, who I'm really talking to is that like a mean voice in my head that's like, do it better, do it again, do it more. And so that's the voice I'm standing up to. Right. Yeah. It's like, all you do is push me, berate me. It's like, oh yeah, that's Michael Biehn talking to Michael Biehn. But if that's what helped me feel it, great. It's totally valid, totally useful. Caden, when you start playing with your video, turn off your video. All right. That's half an hour. It goes so fast. I hope that some of today's lesson on personalization was useful for you. Does anybody have a question about anything that we've covered today before I wrap up? Okay. Well, thank you for making the time to join us for today's lesson for myfreeactingclass.com. Bye, everybody. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to do the Ask Me Anything. So come with your questions.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.
Thanks for helping people.
Bye.